Self-improvement promises something very appealing. The idea that if we understand ourselves better, refine our habits, develop the right mindset, eventually we'll arrive at a place where things finally feel settled, where the restlessness fades, where life feels complete enough to simply live. The idea is attractive, and in many ways self-improvement can improve aspects of life. Habits can change, skills can develop, circumstances can improve. And yet many thoughtful people begin to realize something strange. Even as parts of life improve, the feeling that something isn't quite finished yet often returns. A goal is realized. A habit becomes easier. Something in life genuinely gets better, and for a moment it can feel satisfying. But sooner or later, the familiar tension appears again. And when it does, it often feels unsettling. One begins to think that something still needs adjustment, something still needs improvement, so the process continues. So you read another book, you employ another strategy. You make another attempt to become the version of yourself that will finally feel settled. The strange thing is, self-improvement can work, and the feeling can still return. And that's where many thoughtful people can begin to feel confused. Because from the outside, improvement is happening. Life is moving forward. Yet internally, the feeling of not arriving can persist. Which raises an interesting question. Why does self-improvement often feel like a project that never quite finishes? One possibility is that the goal itself is misunderstood. Most self-improvement efforts are quietly organized around a particular assumption. The assumption that the feeling of unease is a problem that needs to be solved. That it's a signal, a sign that something in life or about ourselves still needs correction. And if that interpretation is correct, the project of self-improvement makes perfect sense. Every time the feeling appears, it simply means that more work is needed, more work on oneself. But if that interpretation is mistaken, something different happens. Habits can improve, skills can develop, circumstances can change. Yet the feeling, the original unease that started the process, can still return. And when it returns, it can be easy to interpret the feeling that's returned once more as further evidence that the work still needs to be done. And so the project continues. The next improvement, the next adjustment, the next attempt to finally resolve the feeling. Over time, this creates a subtle dynamic. Self-improvement stops feeling like something that supports life and starts to feel like something your life is organized around. Not because growth itself is problematic, but because the goal of eliminating the unease keeps moving further and further away. Each improvement creates the expectation that the next improvement will finally resolve the unease. But when the feeling returns, again, the conclusion seems obvious, that there's still something within us that still needs to be fixed. So the project continues. And in that sense, the experience that so many people describe of this project of self-improvement never quite ever finishing is not a personal shortcoming and may be a misunderstanding that we have of the role of unease in human life. Because perhaps unease is not a defect in the first place. It may just be a recurring feature of being conscious and human. And if that's the case, the question should not be, how can I improve myself to finally eliminate the unease? The more interesting question is something else. It is, what if the feeling that self-improvement is trying to eliminate was never a problem in the first place? And that's something we will be exploring further.